Hello and welcome back to another episode of Spare Time Gardening with me, Simon, and today feels like a real turning point. So today it's Sunday the 1st of March and happy St David's Day for those who celebrate. And although it still looks and feels like winter, in many ways the light has changed. The mornings are brighter, the evenings are stretched out, and there's just that subtle shift that tells you the season is about to begin. So today we're making it official. Today I'm sowing the first seeds of 2026. Now, I've deliberately waited until this point. It can be very tempting to start sowing in January, especially when you're keen to get going. But starting too early often creates more problems than it solves. Leggy seeds, overcrowded growing areas, plants that outgrow their pots before it's warm enough to move them outside. So instead, I prefer to wait until the light is naturally improving. And right now, we're in that sweet spot. We're not rushing, we're starting intentionally. So today I'm beginning with a small, carefully chosen group of plants. These are either slower growers or plants that really benefit from longer indoor start. So let's have a look at those seeds, shall we? So this is the seed that we're going to start sowing this year. So to start off with, first up we've got Delphinium. This is seed I saved from last year. And I think there's something very satisfying about growing from your own saved seed. It feels like a continuation of last season, maybe almost a thread from one year to the next. Now, Delphiniums do take time to establish strong roots, so if you start them now, that gives them the best possible chance of producing some tall, healthy flower spikes later in summer. Next, we're going to look at Pennisetum. So this is an ornamental grass. It brings beautiful movement and softness to your borders. Not the quickest plant in the world, so again, giving it a head start indoors, it does make sense. These are one of my granddad's favourites, so I'm going to grow some of these. This is Chrysanthemum. So these are such cheerful, reliable flowers. They add a lovely soft primrose tone that works really well when you're weaving it through your other summer plants. I'm also going to grow a couple of varieties of Coleus. Now these are not about the flowers, are they? These are about foliage colour, like deep reds, purples, lime greens, and these are really fantastic for containers, or for adding that little contrast where, flowers alone just don't quite do the job for you. Now they do need warmth and good light for a start, so we're going to go ahead and pop them in the heated propagator, and then once they poke their heads through, we'll chuck them under the grower lights as soon as they germinate. So a couple of varieties of those. And the last one, not grown before, I've tried once without success, but this is something different, the Arabian coffee plant. Now this one obviously will stay indoors long term because it's an indoor plant. It is slower and more patient to grow, but quite like having something tropical in the house. So it's slightly unusual, and it's just nice to have something in the background. So we're going to give those a try as well. So let's make a start, shall we? Now, as always, I'm using a good quality seed compost to start these seeds off. This is a Livington. And we don't want to overcomplicate this stage, do we? So let's get some of this soil into the trays, and then we'll make a start. So now these are prepared. Now we just need to start sowing them. So we're going to start with the Delphinium. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few, so maybe a couple in each, because I'm going to use 3 trays and 2 heated propagators. So these are the Delphinium seeds that we saved from last year. So I'm just going to sprinkle out into my hand. So those are the seeds there. So I'm just going to sprinkle these down one side. Don't forget, you can always prick them out when they're once they germinate. So I shall use half a tray for Delphinium. As I mentioned before, don't forget to label. You'll think you remember, but you certainly won't. So I shall put a label in that corner, Delphinium, and I put the date on as well, because it's always handy to know when you sowed them. Then I'm going to do the Pennisetum, or tall feathers as it's otherwise known as. I'm going to sow some of those in this other half of this same tray. If I can get into the seed packet. So these are, as the name suggests, it's a grass. So you imagine the seeds are like grass seed. So that's what these seeds look like. I said just like grass seed. So I'm just going to sprinkle these in this half of the tray. As I mentioned before though, I will cover them up with a light dusting of compost. So again, don't forget to label. So plant label goes in, so we know what it is. We'll just give those a dusting actually of compost while I think on. Sprinkle that over the top. And what I'll do is I'll water from the bottom. Because if you water from the top, what you tend to find is that you disturb the seeds. So if you water from the bottom, less likely to get seed disturbance. And these, as we mentioned, are going to go in the heater propagator. So that's those. Then I'm going to do the 2 versions of Coleus. I'll put them in this tray. And then the other one I'll put chrysanthemums in this one, along with the coffee. So 2 strains. This one's a prize strain, improved. The other one's a wizard mix. Tiny seeds. I don't know if you'll be able to see those on my hand. Tiny little seeds. Sprinkle these into the tray. Half in one side, and then the wizard mix we'll put in the other side. Again, tiny seeds. Give these again a slight dusting of compost over the top. Just gently firm that down. And then the last tray, no, actually before that, don't forget to label. The last tray, chrysanthemum and the coffee plants. So these are the seeds of the chrysanthemum. Okay, I'm just going to gently tap these into this tray. Like so. And then the coffee ones, which are much bigger seeds. Let's just go with a go with 6. And as you imagine, coffee seeds are just like coffee. Just going to push these in. It's pretty easy to drop them in. Obviously once they germinate, we'll then transplant them. Again, just a sprinkle of compost onto the chrysanths. Now we go. Perfect. You just need a water. Of course, don't forget to label. So these now go into the heater propagator, so I've sat them in water for about 10 minutes. Most of them are happiest around 18 to 22 degrees Celsius, and once they germinate we'll then move them straight under the grower lights to keep growth compact and healthy. And these are the grower lights I'll be using. So over the next couple of weeks we'll start adding more to the growing area, building the season gradually in waves. Nothing overwhelming, just some nice steady progress. And so that's it. The first seeds of 2026 are officially sown. There they are down there. The propagator is on, lights are ready, and the growing season has quietly begun. So if you're starting your own seeds around this time, I'd love to know what you're doing, what you're sowing, what you're going to do this year. Let me know in the comments. And in the next video we'll begin adding the next wave of plants as the momentum builds towards spring. And don't forget to give us a vote on our business name. You can find details in my last video just here. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon.